Hello everybody, it is Ashley Fields with Your Dress. Today we are going to be painting our eagle totem pole. So if you guys will give me just 1 second, I am going to get my iPad ready so I can have comments pulled up. And let's see, there we go. All right, let me get this turned down and share it, right post. Why it does that. It's not letting me share anymore. Oh well. Hello, as you hop in, say hello. I know I had posted that we were going to go live at 2, but I have some other things going on, so I needed to actually go live a little earlier than originally planned. I hope that you guys don't mind and will hang out with me nonetheless. All right, y'all. So this piece I did just get done getting Windex on here and getting this cleaned off. So now at this point, we're going to go ahead and get started with our base coating. Hey, Phaedra, how are you doing, my love? Hope you're doing good. I'm trying to think, y'all. So before I even start shading, I'm really looking at the width and how wide of a surface area I have to determine the brush size that I want to use. So a lot of this is kind of on the smaller side, right? Meaning like I don't have a whole lot of surface area. So I need to really try to stick with more 10s and 12s for my shaders. Hi, Carol. Hey, Mom. Thank you. Mom, I've tried to share it. I don't have that option anymore. Hey, Carla. Yeah, so y'all, I was telling y'all earlier, I hopped on a little early today. I know I said 2, but I've got some other things that need some of my attention this afternoon. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Let's do this a little early today. All right, y'all, I did 2 coats of white as my base, and then I have light yellow, red, and then brilliant blue. And over here on my eagle, I have, what is this? A reindeer brown is my base. And of course, just light yellow right here. Now in this background right here, that's my gray mixed with a little bit of black. I kind of just put that in that background because I want it to fade behind. I don't want it to be poking out. So anything that you see that darker gray on, I did that so that it could fade behind. And really it's just regular gray mixed with black. Your little flagpole right here is just regular gray. All right, so let me start grabbing my paints over here. I think we'll go ahead and, we'll start with our eagle and kind of move our way around. So on my eagle, since I have shading, or not shading brown, excuse me, I have reindeer brown. I'm going to get shading brown. Let me grab that out. And this one, I might need to go ahead and add some more paint here and get it mixed in with a little bit of water. How's everybody doing today? I know the weather's been icky. I don't know how it's been down. I know a lot of you guys live over in Pearland, but up here in Conroe, it's just been nasty. It hasn't rained near as much as I thought it would. Just add a little bit of water to this paint, start getting it thinned out just a little bit. Because anytime I'm shading, I like that paint to be thinned out just a bit so that my strokes can be more fluid. Okay, I think that's good. We'll try it out, and if I need to add more water, I could always add more water. I'm going to use a number 10, so it's a little bit of a smaller shader, and I am going to just dip that corner inside of my paint, like the little triangle of the corner. All right. Now I have my camera turned like this because this piece is very long and skinny, and so it makes it a lot easier to paint it if I have it kind of that camera pointed downward. So a little different, but I think it's nice to be able to see that whole piece all at once. So I'm really just coming in here and following along with that perimeter with that brush. As soon as I see that paint kind of running out on my brush, I just come right back over here to that cup and dip it right back in. Following those perimeter lines as well as the lines that are kind of etched on the inside. Just kind of meeting everywhere where my brush is stopping and just pulling it on through. That one came out a little fatter than I wanted. That's okay. Y'all, this is one of those parts about hand painting is, you know, it is not perfect by any means. You know, it's not supposed to be. It's done by hand. It's definitely not supposed to be. So sometimes when my brain goes, oh, you need to fix that, I'm like, no, you know, it's just fine. It's just fine. I'm gonna come in here and follow these CNC lines that are already there. Oops, I stopped that line a little short. That's okay. And same thing here. Now this eagle, you don't have a whole ton of space, like right in between these feathers or in the center of the body. So you can either leave it without adding swishes or turn your brush completely sideways where it's real thin and just kind of come in and add a couple of swipes. I honestly prefer it without the swipes right here, but since I already started it, you know, I gotta finish it out. But now I'm gonna leave the eagle like that. So I'm gonna be done with that shading brown. Let me go ahead and cap this and move it out of the way since I don't have any more brown on the piece. Obviously, we can move on to the next color. I think the next color I want to go ahead and do is my Brilliant Blue. Reason being for that is because I need to put stars on here, and so I need that shading dry before I try to add stars. So I chose to use Brilliant Blue, but you could use navy, okay? I like to use Brilliant on patriotic stuff so that I can shade it in navy. If I use navy as my base, then I don't care for the shading on that because it's almost just too dark. So I just kind of prefer the lighter color. And that's why I went with the Brilliant. So on here, on that Brilliant, or on this, excuse me, on this part of the flag, I'm really just kind of doing a square. Just following that perimeter of it and leave it be. It doesn't need anything else. Now down here on my triangles, I am going to go ahead and get a little bit of shading down here. I am just going to follow that triangle. Follow it down. I'm not going to put anything across the bottom. Oops, I turned that brush the wrong way. I'm not going to put a line across the bottom because I'm going to have that yellow coming across. And I also don't want this to become too much of a dark blue blob. I want to be able to really see both of these colors when I'm looking at that piece. So I try not to go overboard. All right, so we got our blue down there. Now we're gonna just kind of finish out the blue. Hey Debbie, how are you doing? Carly says the weather is better here in Alvin today. Well, that's good. I know, I was telling my husband yesterday, I'm like, where is the rain? I thought it was gonna rain all day yesterday, which yes, we had a reprieve and that was nice because the night before it was crazy. My daughter even came in my bedroom and made a pallet on the floor next to me because that weather gets a little scary sometimes for little ones, even though she's not that little, but you know, she's mommy's baby, always. So it was kind of nice last night to not have all that crazy weather going on. All right, on all of these, I'm kind of just keeping it simple. Notice I have a small surface area, right? I don't have a whole lot. So when I'm shading, I really try not to go overboard and, you know, put in too much or too many swipes here and there. I just want to keep it almost just light. Very, very light. Now up here on this hat, you have really a small kind of surface area. So again, just not too much. You just put a little bit in there. We don't want to overdo it. And then same thing right here. Just a little bit. Oopsie. Came over top of that red. All right, so as far as my blue goes, my Brilliant Blue, I just shaded all that with navy, and I am gonna be done with that navy. So I'm capping this. Clean that brush back out. Y'all, I think I'm gonna just continue using the same exact brush this whole time. It's this number 10 brush. And in fact, this brush, I wanna say is one of my daughter's craft brushes that she uses on, with acrylic paint on canvas. It doesn't even have a brand on here. So it's definitely a cheapy brush. No idea where it even came from. All right, so only colors we got left are yellow and red. I think, yeah, let's go ahead and get our yellow on here. On the beak and the feet, I am going to do that with a script liner as opposed to a shader. And when I say shader, it's really just a flat tip brush or a wash brush. We call it a shader. That's not the proper term for it. But your spacing is so tiny right here that if I got a shader in there, it would become a big blob. So I'm gonna wait and do that beak and the feet with a script liner. That That way it can really stand out. All right, so here I'm basically just gonna kind of follow these lines. Got a little yellow on there, that's okay. I'll just kind of wipe it off while it's wet. And then it comes off really easy. Same thing right here. All right, now up here, I want this flag to look like it's coming down over top, right? So I don't like to outline all the way around because then I don't feel like I get that same look of the flag kind of coming over top. So I'm just putting a little bit of shading here so that it looks like it's kind of doing that fluid line behind the flag. That's really, whenever I'm doing stuff like that, that's kind of my thoughts or where I'm trying to go with it. I'm just gonna add a little bit of shading lines there. And then I'll come down here and just do the same thing. That went a little far over, no worries. Just wipe it right off and come on right back. Now here you could kind of like turn your brush sideways and just do a real thin line. Same thing here. All right, so for yellow, or shading yellow on my light yellow, I'm only doing my drum down here basically. This yellow up here is just too small of a surface here. We're gonna do that with a script liner. Chelsea says, weather sucks in Indiana. Yeah, I guess the weather's not been great anywhere, huh? Hey Elma, how are you doing, babe? She says, any tips on avoiding brush strokes? It seems like my brush strokes are all over the place and I can really tell when my piece dries. Alma, it's gonna be, I made a shading tutorial video in Yard Art Academy a couple of weeks ago. I was doing a graduation truck. Go watch that video if you haven't seen it. And Mary as well did a shading video last week or maybe this week in Yard Art Academy that were very detailed and only about shading. And I think that those would be helpful. We give you some different tips and stuff that'll hopefully help with those strokes. A lot of times I see people doing, basically when they start running out of paint and they go to load more paint in their brush, they kind of start right where they stopped. And that is what is going to also create kind of funky lines. And I'll show you what I mean by that. Let me get my shading red because that's the only color I have left as far as shading goes to go ahead and get on here. I'm gonna mix this up. I think that's pretty good. Okay. So again, still sticking with the number 10, y'all. Now the stripes on my flag, too small. I am not shading those at all. I'm leaving them and we will just clean them up with a script liner. But I am gonna go ahead and shade the U and then my drum and a little bit on the firecracker up here. All right, so I'm loading that brush, I'm getting that paint in that corner, I'm putting that brush down and just following along. Now, right when I start to run out of paint, I'm running out of paint. I'm not gonna load it and start right where I stopped. I'm actually gonna load it and maybe come a little bit further down and bring that stroke backwards, back into that previous stroke. And the reason for that is to get it to kind of just smooth out a little bit. And then also taking that one fluid motion over the top when you're done. That's also can be very helpful as well. Let's see, Mary says, click on the word guides in the Facebook Academy page and you can see those tutorials that we're talking about. Yes, that's for you, Alma, in the guide section. All right, let's come down here and get this drum finished out. We're just gonna kind of get a little bit down here on those, call them V's. A little bit of shading on there. And we're gonna have to hit this with a blow dryer and then we can start outlining. Now I'm not really doing these edges. I'm kind of wanting that to look like it's coming off. Now up here on the tip of this firecracker, I'm just gonna get a little bit right here. This shading yellow that I'm using, I've added a lot of red to it, so it's not very dark. I like it kind of on the lighter side, but you could always add a little bit more if you think it's too light for you. You could add a little bit more black to it. Pulled in a little blue right there. These stripes up here on my hat, we'll just do some skinny, try to keep it real skinny. You don't want to do too much right here because then it'll kind of overtake it if you use a shader that's maybe too wide. So I'm just keeping it really light, keeping that brush kind of skinny. You don't want too much coming out. I don't even know if y'all can really see it from this angle that you guys are at. Debbie says, okay, what about shaders? Debbie, are you meaning like what kind of shaders to use? Because we did talk about that as well. Now I'm using a number 10 today, and I really just base the one that I choose based on the width, on the size of that brush, and the surface area of what I'm doing. So a lot of this was on the smaller end. I didn't have like very wide openings or very wide surface area, so I stick with a smaller brush on that. Let me grab my blow dryer. Anything that I have not shaded, it was because the surface area is just too little. Up my cord's getting strained over here. It doesn't quite reach that far. Oh, okay, Debbie. I missed a comment. I had to go back and find it. Okay, so Debbie says, can you explain when you use the long bristle brushes and the short ones? Yes, that's a great question. The longer the bristle, at least for me in my experience and my thoughts about when I'm doing this, the longer the bristles, the harder it is for me to control them. Let me show you what I mean by that. All right, so I have like a brush like this. You see how long these bristles are? Yet it's gonna be the same width of like a number, like the one I just put in the water. This one's a little bit longer on the bristles too. And so for me, I don't have as much of a control with it. So typically I choose to use brushes that are shorter with the bristle length, and I have more control. The ones that are longer like this, when I sat them down, I kind of see that it'll fan out on me a little bit wider than I'm really wanting. So if you're needing actually a wider stroke than the brushes that you have, but you have some brushes that are longer bristled, those can help to get you a wider stroke out of it. And we talked about that in the video with the truck that I did last week with the round tipped brush, why I was switching from a script liner to a round tip. And the reason I did that is because my script liner has about 1 inch long bristle on them, and I have some round tips that might have 1/2 inch on it. And so I have more control with shorter bristle brushes when I'm trying to do smaller surface area of things. I know that doesn't kind of sound like, I don't know, hopefully that makes sense. I'm not sure that that really makes that much sense, but if not, we can always come back and revisit that. All right, y'all. Now, I'll be honest with y'all, a lot of my script liners are getting real fanned out. I need to go get some brand new ones that are not so worn out, because I start using these brushes, y'all, and they just get worn out really, really fast. So let's see if I can get the one that I've been using to work. It's been kind of splitting and doing the letter V on me, and when they start to do that, honestly, it's about time to just hit the trash can, you know. All right, I just have a little bit of a wet spot. Let me grab my little star sponge. You know, I got this off Amazon. It was like a kid's sponge pack kind of thing. And honestly, I only bought the pack. It had like 20 of them. I think it was like $10. It wasn't expensive or anything. But I bought them really just to get the star. So I've just been using this one and doing my stars. You can do the stars with a script liner. I personally just prefer to use daubers or sponges or, you know, whatever I can. I just find that it looks more uniform to me. So at this moment, I'm just trying to get off some of that excess paint. Y'all, this is like a, how do I explain this? This is not like a real, it's not like a good sponge. It's more, it's not porous. So if you're using these kind of sponges, they will slide on you because it doesn't pick up and hold in that paint. So you want to make sure that you kind of, once you dab it in the paint, you get that excess off as well. And I'm just gonna kind of come over and make these stars start to come off. And when they do come off the side, that's totally fine. I just take it while it's wet and wipe it off with my hand because I want it to have that look that it does come off. I'm not trying to get it to look, you know, perfectly uniform or anything like that. Come back, I'm gonna load that back up. I got a little bit of blue here. I'm trying to wipe that off. All right, load this back up. Again, not too much paint. We don't want too much. And allow that sponge to kind of come off those edges. And I just literally take my finger, wipe it right back off. Let's do one more. And voila, simple as that. That's gonna be my stars on my flag. Get info on the brushes. Thank you, Carolyn. Mary says, if you give them money, they will leave you the store with the brushes. Oh, really, Mother? I have them at Yard or Us store. I just need to go get some because I buy those brushes to bring over there to sell, and I always take them all over there, and I don't even keep any for me. That's really more the problem. Okay, now we can go ahead and start getting our script liner. I see all this, my brush is already doing it. That's exactly what I'm talking about. This is kind of when you know that your script liners needs to go to the garbage. I'm not doing a good job of getting that in y'all's camera frame. It's not the best brush anymore. We'll see how far I get. Maybe I'll try this one. Let's see if this one works better. I've got like 3 or 4 of the same brushes, but they're all not in the best shape. I think I want to go ahead and get this yellow on here right quick on the beak and those feet before I get those darker colors around it, because I don't want to pull that yellow up, or excuse me, I don't want to pull those dark colors into the yellow if I were to do this last and I got wet paint around it. So I'm really just kind of outlining it essentially instead of trying to do any shading. And all I'm doing at this moment, y'all, is just following the lines. Nothing too crazy. Those CNC lines that are already there, I'm just taking that brush and hitting around them. A little bit much right there. That's okay. And then same thing right here on my beak. Dipping it in the paint and following the lines. This paint does already have water added to it. I did not add any more water to it, so this is still the same paint I just used to outline that drum, or not outline, excuse me, shade that drum. I am gonna kind of wipe that excess off and just do a little boop, little swish. Okay, I am now going to switch over and let's get our black. We can start getting our black on here. Alrighty, got that black paint. Y'all, this one does already have water added to it. I use this thing all the time, like constantly. In fact, I was working on some interchangeable truck samples that we are going to be doing next month in our painters club, or Yard in the Making, or whatever it is. I can't even think, y'all. And so the other day when I was working on samples, because when you're working on samples, you know, you're constantly changing brushes. I think I probably opened this cup 15 or 20 times and used it throughout the day. It's kind of crazy. So at this moment, I'm really just we're outlining, right? We're creating that boundary between all the parts and all the colors that are on this. So I'm just really following these CNC lines. I'm not doing anything too crazy. Loading that brush up. I've got lots of paint in this brush, and when I set it down, I'm not using much pressure, kind of light. The further I go, the more pressure I can use. But if you notice, I'm almost doing a lot of smaller strokes. So I'm really not even having to use the pressure to get the paint out of my brush. What do you guys think of this camera angle? Do you guys like it better, where you can see the whole piece? Now on your flag, you don't have to use black. I chose to use black, but you could just come in with that script liner and clean your lines up with your red and your white. But I personally liked the black on here. So I'm going to show it to you like I did my sample. I almost forgot the U. I kind of started in that middle. I'm going to work my way down to the bottom, and then we'll come back up to the top with the black. That brush came over a little too far. No worries. Wipe it off. Come back. Keep going. Let's get this little pole. Get a little circle on here. Bring that line down. Y'all, I am using, I don't think I told y'all, but I am using a Royal Gold number 4 script liner. Same exact one I always use. And if you see my brushes and you're like, wow, well that brush is really fanned out compared to the last brush that she used. Really, they're all the same brush. It just depends on how long I've been using it and how many pieces I've really painted with it. The longer I use it, the more it gets fanned out. And that's really the case that I find on all my brushes because I have a very heavy hand. So I don't do a good job of keeping the integrity of the brush the same from the time I bought it to the time that it really needs to kind of go in the trash, obviously, because I just have that heavy hand and it happens. I'm gonna go ahead and we'll do, I think I can reach over. This thing is not very wide. Typically, if I'm doing something wide, I'm definitely gonna flip it all the way around. But this guy's not that wide. So I think I can reach and it'd be just fine. Now right here on this gray, that gray is kind of background, right? It's just really we just left it here as to have that straight fluid line. So I'm not gonna outline that because I want that to look like it is the background. So I'm kind of skipping that, right? I'm just cleaning up the edges of the colors or the boundaries of the other colors that meet up to that one. That was not the straightest line. That was a really wiggly line, and I think that's because I'm trying to reach. And when you're reaching and you're not really having a support under your arm and you're getting really wiggly lines, it's because you need some support. So I know Victoria showed where she uses her fist and supports her arm and then uses that to make her hand straight. And that's a really great tip as well. All right, got that. Now we're just gonna kind of fill in your V's. I need to Windex this red, but it's really too late because I'm already moving on it. But for whatever reason, that shading red, y'all, it makes paint separate and it drives me bonkers. places here I just need to bring it down. Kind of didn't have that line go all the way. All right, now let's move back up to the top. We got our black done down there. Scoot back up here. I am going to turn this for the sake of doing these eyeballs right here. For me, I know I've told you guys, circles, ovals, I am not the best at those. I just do not seem to do a great job with turning that brush. So anytime I'm doing eyes or circles, I do have to kind of slow down and get something underneath my arm that helps to brace it. So like I'm resting my hand right here on the corner, and that way I can ensure that I have the smoothest line possible, because circles are not something that I can do quickly and they look good. I can do them quickly, but they'll look really, really, really sloppy. And obviously that's not what I'm going for. Now, I kind of messed up right here on top of that eye. I don't know if you guys can see it. Let me show you. See how it looks kind of funky on top of that eye? No worries. That just means I can use it to add some eyelashes. So I'm gonna actually scrape off that excess because I kind of have a big glump of it right there. And I'm just gonna kind of take it and boop, boop, make it into eyelashes. Not the greatest eyelashes, but hey, it's all good. All right, now I am going to outline the eagle in shading red, okay? So I'm not going to put any more black on the eagle. Only other thing I'm using black on is going to be my firecrackers, oopsie, and my hat. Kind of like every time I'm almost setting the brush down over here, especially when I'm doing short strokes, I almost always come back and just dip that tip of my brush back into the paint, just to ensure that I really have enough there for me. And every time I'm dipping that brush back in, I'm really only dipping the tip. I'm not getting too much paint in there. I'm not like fully loading it. Just getting a little bit. Dripped a little bit of black up here. That's okay. I can always touch that up too with white. Or anytime if y'all drip something and you don't get it up before it dries, use that as a great spot to put a highlight on something. Half the time whenever I make boo-boos, y'all, I don't go clean them up. I just throw a highlight over top of it. Okay, let me double check I'm looking. I think I'm good on my black. I'm gonna go ahead and put my black up. The only thing that we have left to do is we're gonna outline our eagle with a shading red and then add some highlights to it, and this guy will be done. He's so cute. Alrighty. I know I'm gonna need, might be able to make this work. I will need to add a couple drops of water to this. All right, so on our eagle, we have reindeer brown as our base, and then we shaded with shading brown, and now we're gonna outline with shading red. We like to outline our browns in shading red, or really a brown tone is fine too if you prefer that, so that it kind of is a great contrast with your browns as opposed to using a black. Smooth that line back out. There we go. That's kind of bothering me just a little bit. I'm pulling up a little bit of yellow right here, but it's all right. By the time it dries, you really won't be able to see that very much. get this face. There we go, smoothing that out just a little bit. This guy is so cute. It's super cute. I love this little guy. I want to say this is even a, I'm pretty sure Victoria drew this pattern if I'm not mistaken. Now I did finish kind of outlining that. I'm just kind of cleaning off that brush and really just kind of using what's left in it. I'm not adding more paint, and just kind of come over top of those shading lines and just add a little swish, and it kind of just brings a little bit more dimension. Oh, thank you, Carla. Carla says, that's so cute. Love it. Thank you, my dear. All right, let's clean this brush out, and we're just gonna add some highlights, and this one will be done. All right, y'all, let's see. This white paint, I think it's, I need to definitely add a little more water. I like my white, I don't know why, y'all, that's just how I like it, but I like it to be almost runny. Woo! I just splashed up and got some paint here and there. That's okay. Look, y'all, I dripped a big glob of paint right here. I'm just gonna turn it into a highlight. That's okay. It's kind of the nice part about hand painting stuff is when you make boo-boos, that's okay. Turn it into something fun. A highlight, a shadow, anything. Notice I'm not really coming back and adding more paint. I'm really using out what is already in that brush. I'm not trying to overdo it. I like my highlights to be a little on the lighter side. No, that's just me personally. I know everybody's a little different. But I like it to be light. Okay, I'm gonna come down here on my little feet, add a little highlight there. Come down here on my letters. You can even kind of come in here in that center too. And same thing over here. Now my flag I left alone. I don't typically try to add a whole lot on the flag. I really just leave it because I think to me it just kind of starts to look a little too funky if I try to go in there with too much. So I'm gonna bypass that and really come down here to this yellow and get some added here in this yellow. Basically anywhere that I see a shading line, I'm kind of coming in somewhere close to that, either underneath or on top of it, and adding a little bit of white. And then down here, I am going to, anytime you have like almost a chevron pattern, I kind of like to do like on this red, I'm gonna stick to my highlights being on the right side only, okay? Right side only. And then now on my blue, I'm gonna kind of do the same thing. So I did the right side of the red, I'm gonna do the right side of the blue. So notice it's kind of almost opposites of each other, and to me, I just like how that flows. It flows a lot better to me. Okay, just doing a quick look over. The only thing I have left to do is add white to my eyeballs, which they're very wet. I highly doubt this will come out. Yeah, it's gonna look a little funky, but that might be something after it dries I'll need to touch up, but I'm literally putting wet paint on top of a glob of wet paint. So it definitely doesn't look that great right there. But that is it. That's all that we've got on our Eagle totem pole. He's super cute. I think he's relatively easy. He's not too difficult. Let me go over our colors again in case you weren't here at the beginning. I did 2 coats of white. On my base colors, I have light yellow. I have red, brilliant blue, I can't even think today, reindeer brown, and then on my flagpole I have regular gray. Now this in between, the kind of part in the background, that's regular gray mixed with just a little bit of black. It's not in our color palette, I just hand mixed that. And then when I came in I shaded, I used navy blue on my brilliant blue, shading red on red, shading yellow on yellow, and shading brown on my reindeer brown. Then when I outlined, I used black on everything other than my eagle. My eagle, I used shading red on the brown. And then on the feet, I outlined with, the feet and the beak, I outlined with shading yellow. And then add a little bit of white highlights and ta-da, you are done. So let's see, Pam says, looks good. Thanks, Pam. Mary looks so good. Thank you. Thank you, guys. I hope y'all had fun. Thank you for hanging out, and thank you for giving me the grace of coming on early today, earlier than I had originally told you guys. I will be back next week with our Welcome Windmill, so y'all look for me next week. And until then, you guys keep posting your photos. Let us know, you know, what you're working on, and if you need any help or have questions, definitely hit us up in the comments section. And I will be seeing you guys soon. Hope y'all enjoy the rest of your week. Y'all stay dry. Bye, everybody.